for 2 years ago, does it exist to justify the additional 72 million?
I need to confirm that.
No, you cannot go to confirm. There has to be a basis.
The contract exists.
Yeah, the contract is 691 million.
Yes.
But you paid 764 million.
Yes.
That's the audit query. You've got a contract of 691. You paid 764. You are saying there are exits and entries.
Yes.
Provide the list of entries and exits. And it's as simple as that. And we see whether the premium, the additional premium, totals to 72 million.
Chair, this information should even be available from NHIF. I think because you're covering humans. So I don't understand why the chief cannot.
And it should never come from NHIF, because they can also include NMS employees or people from. It should come from. It should come from you, because you're the ones paying premium. If it was a commercial underwriter, what they would have done is to do an endorsement, which then will list the additional staff. You'll have a schedule with the additional staff. You'll have some policy document or an endorsement to the original policy document. I don't know whether NHIF operates like that, but it's the same principle. So was this 72 million paid to cover employees, or this was the kickback that was paid to NHIF?
No, it was not kickback.
So give us evidence that it was to cover employees.
Chair, there is a list of 127. I don't know whether it's answering.
Where is it?
It's in the attachment.
Madam Upiata, can you direct us to that?
Annex 2.3.
Yeah, Annex 2.3 is just the.
Yeah, they have the list of. Is it 727? Yeah.
Which one is 2. Auditor General, you said this has not been closed, so I'm sure that you had looked at that annex. What do you make of it?
Chair, the question is, how does a list the additional employees of 727 translate to 72 million? That is the explanation we are looking for.
Yes, Madam Upiata, can you confirm that?
So in other words, you want to know how much Ruto is paid, Sakaja is paid, and everything like that. Is that what you are looking for, Auditor?
Honorable Member, payments to NHIF is based on agreed terms. There is an initial contract that guided on payment of the first 691.
Raise your voice a bit. Raise your voice. I know the demeanor of an accountant is dull, but we are now dealing with politicians.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay,
what I'm responding, Chair, is that the first payment, the initial payment of 691 million is based on a contract signed between the county and NHIF. They have paid an additional 72 million, which they have indicated that this is for the additional staff, 727. So what brings this on board? They have referred us to a clause in the contract. But that clause alludes to a reconciliation that needs to be done for them to arrive at that 72 million. And so the auditor is asking, where is this reconciliation that then becomes the support document for payment of the 72 million? Thank you, Chair.
Okay, tell us about the reconciliation.
Yeah, if you check, we have enclosed a letter written to NHIF on 2nd of August 2022, inviting them. It's attached with a document. 2.3. Volume 1.
Okay, what about that letter?
This was the letter that was written to NHIF to invite them for the reconciliation, which apparently they never honored. And yet we had already ensured this number of staff, 727.
So I see also after the letter, there is a debit note for 691 million as per the contract, isn't it?
Yes.
Where is a debit note for the additional premium? Because you wouldn't pay without a debit note traced by the underwriter. Do we have it?
Not here.
A debit note is basically a demand by the underwriter saying that we have done the reconciliation that the auditor is asking about, and we have concluded that entries and exits net to this number, and so here is a debit note to pay additional 72 million. Do we have it?
No, we don't.
Is it available? How did you pay without a debit note?
I think Chair should have actually followed up after this letter to know why they have not responded, and that would have actually...
No, you see, they've made actual payment. What was the basis of the payment? The 691 is clear. We can see the debit note here.
Yeah.
So the additional 72, what was the basis? Where's the demand from NHIF that I'm covering 700 more people, so you need to pay me 72 million?
Yeah, let me ask the CFO to assist her.
Because we need to understand why you are in a rush to pay NHIF and not KPLC.
All of them are paid. Yeah. But I want the CFO to respond to that.
Chair, I'm sorry, but it's a very difficult question to answer, considering we are looking at audit reports for the previous administration. What we are trying to do now is provide evidences to the auditors just to see if these matters can be resolved, but an audit has already taken place. So we don't know the wisdom behind the payment then, when the payment was issued, whether it was done via debit note or not, but we've tried reaching out to NHIF to revisit this matter, do a reconciliation, and they've not been responsive. That is the position, Chairman.
Madam Pietra, were you in office at that point in time?
No.
Who handles the medical insurance portfolio in Nairobi City?
It is under public service management, where I'm the chief.
That is your docket?
Yes.
And I have sat on this chair long enough to know that insurance is the most abused contract in Nairobi. And that is why there was an inquiry on AAR. And I think there was almost 1.6 billion in form of an award for medical insurance to AAR. It came up in the 2017-2018 financial year, and Kinoti confirms that there is an open and active file on the matter on insurance payments.
Yes, Chairman.
Yeah. So when we see this kind of expenditure that does not seem to be supported, we are naturally suspicious.
Is the county secretary here? Because I can see there is a letter he has written above.
No. The former officers.
That's a former.
And not in this government.
Oh, okay.
No, this is 20. Okay, it's not a long time ago.
So, Governor, what are you saying? That we count this as stolen and then we pronounce ourselves? Because that's what I hear your chief officer is trying to say, that you cannot find the records.
Chair, before you do, Chair, there is a statement that on management, the additional premiums of Kenya shilling 72,828,22 is a result of 727 additional staff less exits during the contract period. So what was these details of these 727 staff and medical insurance are specific to individuals? I know, for example, in Nandi, this is prone to abuse because sometimes, Chair, they say M5, which is a standard. It means the employee, the wife, and maybe 3 children. Some counties put it as a standard figure by saying M5. Yet some employees maybe have 1 child or 2 child or even none. So that is where they abuse. So when you say 727 additional staff, what did you mean through the governor on this 72 million before a matter is heard Are there information about this additional staff? Were they casual staff? Were they PNP? Were they on contractual staff? What was happening here?
Chair.
Governor?
This 72 million in the year 2020. 21 looks very suspect. It actually looks quite suspect, and I think it would be good for Kinoti and the team to look at it, because even if you look at the financial statements, the amount declared is still the 679, meaning that 72 was not even noted as an expenditure. I don't know if the auditor captured that, because the insurance cost in the financial statements is 679, 635, age 12. Yes. And you see the financial statement, by the time it's being done, is at the end of that financial year. So, I don't see any, I can see my chief officers struggling to explain for those people who were there at that time. And I keep telling them, you must, it's not a must for you to explain what you don't know that happened before you were in office. That 2021, 22, or whatever it is, issue on insurance needs to be looked at. It must be investigated.
Is NHIF still providing the cover?
No. We moved on.
It was terminated.
It wasn't terminated. It ended.
So it moved to another
company. Yeah. Right now it's the county staff on Jubilee.
Governor, does it have to take the Senate to raise it for action to be taken, or there is administrative action that you can take as a CEO?
I think the committee can guide on that, especially, given the fact that you're talking about officers who are no longer at the county. Yeah. The person you're referring to who wrote the letter, Senator Dulo, is no longer at the county, and so the committee. That's why we're looking at those old audits. Now you can actually guide.
Is the first step restitution, that you must now cause a letter to be written to NHIF demanding the 72 million back? Because it was money that was paid by Nairobi without value.
You see, Chair, that if you look at the response given in audit, there are attempts to justify it. Those attempts, I can look at it and say, okay, from my own view, yeah, it looks suspect. And that is why I would want the Senate, because the Senate has I can write also myself to ask for it. But you can help us unearth it, because I would want to know also, in as much as I was not governor then, I would want to know what happened.
Governor, we don't want to do your job. You must do your job. If you agree with us that this amount, and if your officers agree that there is no clear basis for payment of this amount, you must write to NHIF demanding the money back. And then let Kinoti take action afterwards. Because otherwise you'll be doing your job. And that's why Sifuna has opted to be a senator, so that you can deal with the Maandamano while you deal with the tough business. So I think we direct as an interim measure that the CEO must demand for this money back, but we're also telling ESCC to keep an eye on this, because insurance has been abused.
Chair, kindly don't direct that way then. I know you've already directed and you're the chair. I want to look at it further, if you allow me. Let me look at it further. There's possibly documentation that they don't have or something. What has raised the red flag to me is the amount at in the financial statement of 679, having been the budget. And of course, people, staff are onboarded, they always entries and exits. Some amount of it could be justifiable, but allow us to look into it before demanding cash back. Chair.
Fine. So take administrative measures, but I want to ask Kinoti to add it to his matrix of issues that he needs to keep an eye on. Let's proceed then to fuel, oil, and lubricants. On the next issue is about management of your fuel smart cards. Governor, the Auditor General has made his findings. You have made your response, which you shall take note of your written response. Can you just tell the Senate the measures you have taken to tighten controls in fuel smart card management and fleet management? You have 7 smart cards fueling 176 county vehicles. if we were to get a report from one of the smart cards, Governor, are you sure that we will not find that the smart card was used to fuel your private car?
Chair, allow the Chief Officer Mobility to give us a response. The response, of course, is as what is written.
Yes, but because of time, I just want us to focus on the problem.
Yeah, so I mean, we have a huge fleet of vehicles. There are not 7 cards right now in the county. There are, how many cards do you have now? Around 45. You know, those cards given to different sectors.
45 against how many vehicles?
It's not a card per vehicle. You see, for instance, if you're fueling a fleet of garbage.
Okay, but how many vehicles do you have? Now that NMS has brought back some assets, what's your total fleet?
Answer on the mic.
The vehicles are around 550 plus or minus.
Average 550?
Yes.
Okay, Governor, Senator Nyonka?
Excuse me, CEC Finance. The gentleman on the right is who? Thank you, Chief Officer Mobility. What the OAG has said, yes, you've given us the cards which show that actually vehicles are being fueled, but we don't have any job cards, we don't have information what these vehicles did, we don't have the registration numbers of the vehicles for us to know the quantum and the quantities of the fuel they were consuming. So the question then, naturally I was asking myself is, do you have those records available? If you did, why didn't you give them to him again?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes, those records are there, and they were submitted during the second time. And what happens, every fuel card is under the custody of a transport officer. On top of that transport officer, when every county driver consumes fuel using that card, there's a sheet that they're supposed to sign against their consumption. That sheet has the registration number of that vehicle, the liters consumed, the amount of money that the liters have used, and then the receipt number, because after every consumption of a vehicle, there's an ETR receipt that is generated. So what the driver signs against is against all that information.
If you took card number 3, for example, out of the 7 the auditor cited, is the service provider able to provide a report on the vehicles that have been fueled using card number 3?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a.
What is the content of the report?
It is the registration number, the liters consumed, the date, and the time.
So, Auditor General, had you indicated that you are not able to get that kind of report from the service provider? Auditor General, do you have that visibility?
Yes, Chair, I'm referring to an appendix that we've looked at. It's under Appendix 2.4, and the output report from the service provider is attached.
Where is the registration number?
Chair, there is no registration number.
Would you point us to the registration number on that report? 2.4, Fleet Sub-Sector Fuel Statement. So how do we tell that on 29th of July 2021 at Kilimani Service Station, the vehicle that fueled at 13,000 is a vehicle of the Nairobi City County?
Chair, with your kind permission, what I was saying is that after this is generated, after every vehicle consumes fuel, there's an ETR receipt that is generated at the petrol station, and it has a specific number plate, which is additional to what is a...
No, but why can't it be here? This is a service provider statement. This comes from Vivo Energy Kenya. Transaction report for customer invoice. This is the one for invoicing, isn't it?
Yes.
So how do we invoice without being specific on the vehicles that have been fueled?
Because CEO, those two documents are supposed to corroborate each other. You have your statement here and you are checking against the ETR receipts. If your statement has no, I am just imagining the officer who has to verify those physical receipts, Chair, and he has a dump of all these receipts, and he has to find each transaction here. There is no reference to any vehicle. He has to look at the time or the place.
Mr. Chair, if I may confirm, what happens for the statement, we don't get it on daily basis. We get it maybe weekly or monthly.
That's not the point.
You're going wrong.
That's not the point.
You see, the concern here is the controls. The controls. And I don't know why you are being a bit defensive. Because without controls, you can't tell which vehicle has been fueled. And that's why we are highlighting this report, saying that this report is incomplete. You either ask the service provider to include a column on the registration number, but otherwise this cannot be an accountability document. Because you don't know whether these are tractors or whatever assets that belong to individuals.
Excuse me, Chair.
Because even in terms of importance, they have the location of the petrol station but not the registration of the vehicle, Governor, honestly. In terms of priority of the importance of information, you would expect that the vehicle registration is first.
Chair, Your Excellency Governor Sakaja, would I be wrong if I took administrative action against the officer by assuming how he's inept?
You're not allowed.
He wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
Also a new chief officer.
No, then he should be telling us.
And he should be telling us he wasn't there.
Looking at him.
Yes.
Why you know, just say what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Tell us
You are not there.
He should have told us what he has already done and he has failed to get it, and he should be one telling us what he discovered.
You know.
Senator Adulo? Senator Adulo?
Yeah, from the brief we had.
Explain what you do.
Governor, from the brief we had this morning, the situation is still the same.
Let him explain to you.
Yeah?
Chair.
Wait a minute, I'll give you an opportunity.
The situation is still the same. Initially in the morning we were told 7 cards. Now you are saying you have 45 cards against 500 and something vehicles. Which criteria do you use to allocate 45 cards against 500 plus vehicles? So what we want to know is the control and transparency in the manner in which those cards are allocated and the consumption of the fuel plus the budget allocated to it. Thank you.
Senator Cherarkeng?
Chair, I think Chief Officer, what you should be telling us, a question through the governor, out of these 550 vehicles, are there any vehicles that are leased from any agency or individuals, number one? Number two, apart from this, can you recall this document that does not have registration number? And I know, Governor, you are aware about the engine capacity, because we don't want people driving LX600 masquerading as a county government of Nairobi, and you know very well it will not be prudent use of resources. So the question is he able to display the registration number through the chair and also the engine capacity? You remember during Uhuru's time, he had brought was it a 1300 cc?
Yeah.
But it will not be, even if it is not in law,
there is no law that limits the vehicles accountable.
Well,
I don't know why governor is,
but you know,
I don't know why governor is defensive.
Regulations are also subsidiary legislation.
Correct.
So if it's captured in regulation or in circulars by bodies that are constitutionally mandated to provide those guidelines, then they form part.
They form part of it.
But that's not that's not the argument. I don't want you to just.
The point I'm trying to make, Governor, is.
Yeah. So he's
I'm not talking about this. I don't know his private vehicle, so why would I discuss?
It's the one you said.
No. LX600. I was just an example.
And that's why we want the registration number. Yes. So that we can check whether that particular one is being fueled using county cards.
Should declare interest. The governor has said he has given him a lift in that very same vehicle.
No.
Where did
I've never boarded any governor's vehicles.
It's the same one.
I don't know. I don't know his vehicles. I can't really remember because he's a man of means, so I can't really remember which one. The point I'm trying to make, and I think Governor, you need to assist us on this. Is the prudent use. I was saying, imagining that your county government is driving a 6,000 cc vehicle, which we should drive less so that you consume less fuel. That is my argument. Because at the end of the day,
I don't about fuel or about
order, Governor. Yeah. Order. If you need a break for the sugar levels, you ask for it, because I'm seeing they are going down. But as we are, still alert.
So my point on this, I wanted to make
a point of order, Chair.
Let's conclude.
Through the Chief of Staff of Mobility, are there among 550 vehicles you have, are there any that are leased? Number two, could you be able to display, apart from registration number, display the engine capacity for accountability purposes, so that it becomes easy to account?
Senator Mariam Omar.
Chair, mine is also partly the same. I wanted to ask if Governor, currently, how do you do your asset, your fuel register? Because if there is lacking, because this one there is a problem of registration, is it the same continue?
Senator Onyonka. No, Senator Mofa.
You know, Chair, we in this arrangement, you are interrogating history. So we want to know from the CEO now in the current situation, do we have that kind of confusion? The current.
I think we have asked the same things in different language, in different words. Governor, we want to understand the current arrangement, whether the controls have been tightened or the situation is as flagged by the Auditor General.
Perhaps before it does, Governor, if you see everything that is in place in Nairobi is very deliberate. If you go to the next annexure, which is a list of insurance of your vehicles, you will see that all the information we are looking for on the fuel side is included in this report. Because you will see registration number of a vehicle, the make, the model, the type, the year of manufacture, everything is captured there. So why it was not done the same, even the value, why it was not done the same for fuel is the cause of concern. So perhaps when you respond as to what you have done now, speak to the deliberate nature of the omission of some of those information during that time.
Okay, let's allow them to respond. I think we have canvassed enough.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. I will start with the first question on whether we have any leased vehicles. I can confirm currently we do not have any leased vehicles. What we are using is county vehicles. Number two, Honorable Senator asked what is the criteria that we use while issuing these cards. What we have done is that we have given per sectors, especially for the sectors that have a lot of fleet. For example, mobility and works, they have a card. For example, health, it has a card. And then the reason as to why they increased is when we came into office through the governor, we introduced cards for CECs and chief officers. So for the vehicles that are used by CECs and chief officers, they have specific cards for those vehicles. Moving forward, a senator asked what is the current situation. We have improved on the situation. The records that we have for this year and this administration, we have the registration, the model, the price, the liters, and the receipt number. And to add on the improvement that we are still doing, we are in the process of having a containerized fuel station for the county. We have organized with our supplier, such that when we get that containerized fuel, each vehicle, and I'm talking about each vehicle, will have a dummy card, because there will be no need to load that card with credit, because we will have our own fuel. But the purpose of that dummy card is to ensure you can know with precision the amount of fuel that has been consumed by that vehicle, and whether it's diesel or petrol.
Auditor General, we request you to keep this in view so that you can report back on whether there are sufficient controls to prevent misuse, but we agree with the Auditor General that there have been weaknesses in in fuel management. I think that should allow us to move on.
Chair, can I...
Senator Onyonka, it is 4:09 p.m.
Just 1 second.
Yes.
I wanted to, having a sore throat, I just wanted to raise the issue with the mobility manager and the governor, that even whether you're going to do the containerized fueling system within the county government, if you don't have a GPS system, you don't have a report that is given from whoever that is assigning your driver to go and work somewhere, and you understand, Governor, that this technology would be giving you the mileage and the distances and where your vehicles are working, I think you understand where I am. And I hope that you may possibly think about adopting such a system.
Governor, let that not generate a debate. Let's proceed to issue number 2.5.
I had asked him to answer, then I conclude.
No, we have already given directives.
Okay, kindly, Chair. Just allow me to...
No, I will direct that we move to the next issue. It is 4:10 p.m.
Just 1 minute for my response.
Order, Governor. It is for your benefit that we are proceeding. Otherwise, if it gets to 5 o'clock, we shall adjourn and you'll come back here tomorrow.
Chair, just allow me to 1 minute.
I'll give you 30 seconds.
Surely, Chair. The reason we come here is to answer. Allow us to answer the questions, the audit questions.
Yes, but we also have our timelines.
The fuel management system that we are now implementing, that is at award stage, includes GPS, includes a fuel station, a petrol station, physical, at our central garage, where we'll be getting fuel below commercial rate. That is a negotiation we got into, and we can be able to tell, even if if fuel is siphoned, immediately an alert will come out from that vehicle. So it's going to be a fuel management system on each and every tank of the vehicles for the county.
Fine.
That is the process we're in.
Auditor General, you'll confirm whether the tumepanga na tumetenga is true in your next cycle of audit.
Well noted, Chair.
Distribution of goods.
Yeah, you're you should wish well the governor. Yeah. You should wish well to the governor.
I know what wakes Cherarkei up. 2.5 on distribution of goods. We take note of the Auditor General's finding. 127 million paid to suppliers for various miscellaneous items. Auditor General, were the payment vouchers supported with receipt and issue vouchers? Has that been demonstrated in the response?
Chair, we said we have received the stores receipt and issue vouchers. All that is remaining is confirmation of the originals.
So you will. This is one of those areas you said that you still need time to confirm.
Yes, Chair, that is one.
Fine. So do that confirmation so that when you're writing a report, you can advise us. 2.6 on supply of goods under emergency department. Again, we take note of the Auditor General's finding to the effect that foodstuff totaling 275 million was procured for disaster and emergency. Another expenditure of 37 million in respect of emergency COVID response, and 15,900 mattresses at a cost of 135 million. The total expenditure queried is 448 million on emergency services. And the Auditor General was questioning the legality and the prudence of that expenditure. Auditor General, have you gotten the information that you needed?
Chair, we have the documents. Again, the confirmation is what we were requesting from the committee.
So that's 2.6. The county says that the records are attached, and you had said that you needed some time to review the records.
Yes, Chair.
Okay, then we'll give you time so that you can advise us when you're writing the report. 2.7 on unsupported procurement of goods. What were you asking for? Receipt and issue vouchers and approval for the payments made without a budget. We take note of the county's response saying that they were directly delivered to the end users So, Governor, what does that mean? That you do not have you do not have receipt and issue vouchers for the goods?
Yes. If the assertion is that they were given directly to the end users, then that means the documentation is not there. I don't know if there was anything further supplied to the Auditor General.
So if it's a position of the county that those issue vouchers, receipt and issue vouchers do not exist, it is upon the committee to make a determination on whether the procurement officers or the persons involved in this procurement complied with the law, even if it was an emergency procurement. Because I can see that the county's response is very brief, that due to the emergency nature, materials were directly delivered to the end users. But there is also the other question of payments which were made without a budget. If this is a response of the county government, I think as a committee, we definitely must find some people to have broken the law in this procurement. Irregularities in procurement of masks. We take note of the Auditor General's finding under 2.8. The county government responds by saying that there was a mix-up in dates in the memo and that goods procured were delivered and there was no loss of funds. Auditor General, do you agree?
Chair, I think management is in agreement with audit observation that the dates were not correct. Justification for the mix-up, Chair, is what we are looking for.
Was there loss of funds?
Chair, this is procurement. So if chronology of events is doubtful, then we cannot tell whether the procurement was actual.
So the problem is approval was given on 28th of March. Requisition for the purchase was done on 28th August. After approval to procure had already been done. Further, the LPO was issued on 16th April before the requisition was done. So that is a breach of the procurement regulations, isn't it?
Yes, Chair.
And there was a procurement, there was a head of supply chain who perhaps did a professional opinion. We must hold that head of procurement to account because that's a member of a regulated profession. So here we agree with you that the head of supply chain or the person who issued the professional opinion must be held to account.
I'm very interested in the Auditor General's take on that. Your second statement in your finding. What is the basis of you concluding that there was money lost if you are telling us that the bidder supplied the masks? How did you confirm that the masks were supplied?
Chair, in my statement I have not said that we've confirmed no money was lost. I've said in the absence of following the law as it is, then we cannot be able to confirm.
So how did you confirm the masks were supplied? What's the basis of that confirmation?
Based on the documents.
Invoices and? What documents did you look at? Delivery notes, were they availed?
Allow me to go back to the question, Chair.
But that same paragraph says that the county was invoiced 1 year before delivery was done. Or is that the mix-up in dates that you are alluding to, Governor? Because I mean, it would be very stupid theft where you invoice 1 year before delivery. Is that the mix-up of dates you are alluding to in your response?
Chair, on this one I can't comment. In fact, at this time I was chairing the COVID committee in the Senate, trying to look at these problems at that time. So I'll allow the committee to make its finding on this, Chair. Unless anyone, maybe the supply chain. Yeah, unless you can comment on this.
I think this one we don't need to waste too much time about this. These are irregularities that were rife during the emergency period, and we cannot just excuse it that it was COVID time. Everyone had a professional responsibility to do the right thing. 2.9 retreats at an unknown venue.
Who was the governor then? Chair, this is laughable. Could be the governor be under security threat. Could not reveal where they were.
So we are querying the payment of 2.9 million, which was paid for a retreat whose venue was not disclosed for audit review. Governor, could you tell us the venue for this event?
According to the documentation, it is Mabolak Hotel. That is the response that we've given. That is the training for drivers.
Auditor General,
provided.
Do you confirm? Have they now provided documentation to confirm that?
Chair, we don't have appendix 2.9, so
Where is that appendix?
we are not able to confirm.
You had not. It had not been presented to you.
No, Chair.
Governor, you cannot present to us documents that you are not subjected to the Auditor General. And so if the Auditor General has not seen Appendix 2.9, then the venue remains unknown.
Is it the new file? There's a new file.
Why?
Members, it's 2.9 million, so the amount is not very material, but so it should not take us a lot of time to deal with. Senator Sifuna?
Now, I wanted the governor to refer us to that annexure. I can't seem to find it.
So neither can I. I'm asking the Director Accounting Services.
Yeah, that appendix is missing, but
so the venue remains unknown as far as you are concerned.
It was there. We have provided with the attendance registers for the drivers. Mabwak Hotel.
Where is it? Where is that evidence? That's the evidence the auditor was looking for, and that's why he called it an unknown venue.
Maybe when we are filing these documents together, it was mistakenly left out.
But you've had this thing for this report for the last 2 years. The auditor was on the ground. You didn't provide him with that information, and now you have an opportunity for mitigation at the Senate. You don't have it. You see, if you are going to say present it in 7 days, it will be making nonsense of what we are doing. 7 days is really for further clarification, not provision of primary documentation.
Sure, we are sorry, we can provide this attendance register to the auditors as they are verifying the other documents. But I remember seeing an attendance register for drivers at Mamboaka Hotel.
Auditor General, just look, maybe within those 7 days you'll advise us, but as far as you're concerned, the venue remains unknown, and this was theft of public resources, 2.9 million. Domestic travel and subsistence, 2.10. Auditor, you had said this has been supported?
Yes, Chair.
2.11, other unsupported payments. Appendix 1, you had requested for more time to verify the supporting documentation.
Chair.
That applies to 2.12.
Yes, Chair.
2.11 and 2.12.
That's true, Chair.
And the reason for that, Governor, is because your officers were sending vouchers to the Auditor General as late as when?
Friday, Chair.
As late as Friday. And that is unacceptable. I don't think that we will take that stance going forward. But now that the Auditor General says that they are able to look at them, we'll allow them to look at the payment vouchers. Failure to provide transaction status, Auditor General. You say this is partially resolved?
Yes, Chair.
What is outstanding?
current status, Chair, of the amounts that were voided?
They voided 15.6 billion worth of transactions.
Yes, Chair.
Governor, what would be the reason for voiding payments with that payments which are that material? 15.6 billion.
CFO.
Chair, I suspect there were unclear defects in the system, which ideally should be done every financial year such that they don't accumulate to such colossal amount. But I believe that is what must have contributed to that figure. So what is expected to be done and is what we are currently doing is at the end of the financial year, if there are transactions in the systems that have not been funded for one reason or the other, either due to underperformance of revenue or late exchequer releases, they are usually voided before you close the financial year.
In your response, you're saying the authority to void transactions has been provided for verification. Can we see that? Is it in the annexures that we have?
It's not in the annexure, but it was provided to the auditors. I have it with me. The letter was...
Control of budget. What's your take on this? 15 billion worth of voided transactions. And we've had this conversation. And sometimes this is done. They seek the approval, and your office does the approval, then they go back and do their own things. And it's a way of stealing public funds.
Thank you, sir. Could I say something, Chair?
Yes, Senator Young.
I know this is historical, but my Chair, I can tell you that is the reason why, you remember the questions that we've been asking, that Kisii County has got 672 voided transactions. It looks like this is something that has been set up for, and I would want the Auditor General to give us the reasons why they think this has happened. And number two, I really would want, Chair, the Controller Budget to come and answer those questions to us. Because there's something going on between Treasury, Central Bank, Controller Budget's office, and finally to the county governments that are receiving the money through the executive.
Controller Budget?
At the Controller of Budget, we only receive the successful transactions in the exchequer requests. So the voided transactions happen probably after. So those ones do not make their way to the Controller of Budget. However, we expect that the voided transactions are authorized. They should be authorized. So maybe there must be an approval process at the county level for avoiding the payments.
Could I ask a question, sir?
Senator Yonka.
Excuse me. How do you, I know, I've already heard what you're saying. That's what I'm saying. I also wanted the Auditor General to talk about it. How do you void payments for 15 billion shillings and then you pay through some other? This is what is... Yeah, I'm actually baffled. Could you try and explain to us what you've discovered?
Thank you, Chair. Looking at the voided transactions, some of the reasons is one, what they have explained, that a payment has been processed through the process up to IP. However, that approval for the final payment has not been granted either by COP, to lack of funds. Again, a payment that we categorize under this are those payments where a payment is processed, however, wrong details can exist, like a wrong name, wrong account number, and therefore it bounces back.
Excuse me, Chair, so the three reasons you've given that are most likely supposed to be consequential out of this exercise, in your simple common Wananchi's language, what can you explain to me is actually happening to these transactions? Because number one, you cannot pay something that doesn't have the account number that is proper, isn't it? Number two, if the payment has been authorized and the fund and the requisition for payment goes to the Controller of Budget's office, if the money isn't there, because you see, IFMIS doesn't ask you to file a requisition if there's no money. So the argument that the reason why this was actually being voided was because there was no money doesn't make sense. But I also know that if I took, like we have the case in Kisii County where the budget was mutilated, where the Controller of Budget flagged out the budget which had been mutilated, which means the code that is supposed to be used for the payment of this money doesn't exist. I can see you're smiling. I'm with you now. Is that the true story? Yes. I'll see you're smiling. These things now we know them. So begin to tell us exactly how we are losing money in our counties. We don't want you to play with us. Many of us are well schooled, we are accountants, we are forensic experts, the whole of this team. And this has nothing to do with what is happening at the county, because this is like 4 years ago, the governor wasn't there. Can you tell us and tell Kenyans what exactly is happening when you have those four hypotheticals?
Proceed.
Chair, I may not have a case that I have proved, but in relation to the amounts that are on discussion here, the 15 billion is patching up of payments towards the end of the year with anticipation that the exchequer release, the exchequer money will come in. And so come the end of the financial year, that money is not forthcoming. But these transactions have been invoiced through the process. And therefore, for you to close the financial statements in the system, these transactions have to be cleared. And therefore, the way they clear them...
That is one hypothetical. Give me the other three. That is the one everybody uses. Oh, it was exchequer releases, exchequer... No. Give me, why do you think somebody would actually stop payment of 15 billion shillings?
Honorable Chair, can the finance experts from the county answer that? Because this is the system that they use on a day-to-day basis.
I am having a problem even with the county, because you had said there was no documentary evidence provided to support authorization and reasons for invalidation. The county says it is attached. We can't see it. We can't see it. Governor, why did you choose not to provide that to the Senate? Because I'd really like to see that authorization to invalidate 15 billion or to void 15 billion worth of transactions. I'd really like to see that. Yes, I want to see who has authorized it, who requested and who authorized.
Chair,
in your response, you have said the authority to void transactions has been provided. I'd really like to see that.
Yes, Chair, I can confirm that this was provided to the auditors. I have a letter dated 3rd August 2022 addressed to the Director, IFMIS Department, National Treasury, requesting for voiding rights for officers working within the county treasury, and 5 of them are listed with their PF numbers, their ID numbers, and email addresses. And the letter was signed by then Acting Head of County Treasury, Mr. Joseph Gadhiaka. So,
and the response? That is a request?
So normally in practice, Chairman, once a letter is written, I've not seen a response back from IFMIS indicating that the rights have been granted. Usually within the stipulated time of 7 days, they issue the rights, and once the officers access the system...
And 7 days would have fallen on the date of election.
They're able to deal.
What was happening on 3rd of August 2022?
On the 8th.
Chair, usually for clearing systems, again, based on experience...
No, what significant activity was happening in the week of the 7 days from 3rd of August? Those 7 days that you expected to get response. What was happening in the country?
There was an election.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, but I cannot fully ascertain the happenings then. But
why would one choose to void 15 billion worth of transactions on election week? 6 days.
Usually, Chair, the National Treasury grants an extension once the financial year comes to a close.
On 30th of June, not in August.
Sometimes, Chair, it runs up to at least a month or two after
no, see, that's a completely different matter. You are saying authority to void transactions has been provided, but you have described to us a request to void transactions.
Correct.
And that's why I'm saying I'm very curious to see who granted that authority and when it was granted.
And meanwhile,
on 3rd, so I'd like to see when it was granted.
Thank you, Chair. And also, Madam CEO, how I would have wished that you actually gave us the lists of the voided transactions and where the payments were supposed to be, and who was subsequently paid after that.
Yeah, Chair, as they do that, I'll want the CEC to explain further. You see, I understand, you know, with the kind of even pending outstanding liabilities that are there, 100B, accountants will put things on internet banking, hoping that they can be paid. At the end of the financial year, everything that is not paid is voided. This financial year, the specific one that we're talking about, there was an extension from July towards the end because of the late exchequer release. So that is what coincided with August. Such that now, if it has not gone through by the end of the financial year, Paul, you try again next year as a pending. That's what actually happens in practice. So it's not that 15 billion was actually used to pay something else. I don't think there's a time the county has had 15 billion in its account, you know, at a go. But it's that even now, if you go to internet banking, you'll find a lot of payments that are there, just hoping that a decision is made to pay them. You know, you're talking about outstanding liabilities of close to 107 billion. You know, many of them are there. And they're just hoping that, you know, with this budget I can get my pending bill paid or whatnot. So it's not that if you void, the money is actually then spent from CRF on something else. Because that, the auditors will be able to show that. And I can say,
Chair, could I ask His Excellency one question? What you're saying is that that's supposed to be a normalcy.
The voiding?
Yes.
It's a procedure.
Yes, thank you. Why is the Auditor General raising that issue?
Because because of the quantum.
Hold on. No. He's not talking about the quantum.
But he's here.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. What I'm saying is, like I've said, Governor Sakaja, it's like in Kisi. Why would somebody void 968 payments? What is wrong? In other words, I want them to tell me whether what you are saying, that everything is put on standby, waiting for people waiting to be paid. Is that the case, AOG?
Members, I do not want us to engage in speculation. What needs to be presented by the county is evidence on the authority to void transactions, which so far has not been proven. But if we put together the coincidence of the dates and what was happening, even if it was year-end processes, National Treasury, do you allow them to go all the way to August?
Well, thank you, Chair. First, Chair, allow me to say, with the request for voiding, that one is proper. And Chair, I've always been saying that payment in the accounting is continuous. And to avoid this issue of delayed exchequer, we usually advise county governments to continue processing up to IB level. So, if at the end of the financial period, then the exchequer has not been released, the only best way to do it is to seek for approval to void. And Chair, on the question you have asked whether we allow, issues of voiding is not standardized. It depends with the needs of a county government. So the county government can request for voiding even in August or even in July. It depends the need that has occasioned the county government to request for such a facility, which we give temporarily and close.
When they make the request, how do you action? Do you respond? Is there a user change request form that is filled? Because that must be part of the controls.
When they make the request and the request is approved, they are able to see it in their screen. The person with that right, I think the ready can.
So why do you make them right when you do not commit anything on your part as National Treasury?
Of course, the letter is marked for action to a certain officer, and once that one is done, a communication is made through the IFMIS. If the person with the rights check the screen, he will be able to see that the rights have been given, and they can print that.
There, I think the Treasury is failing counties. Any change in access rights, ideally in a properly in a proper ICT governance environment, if you're going to change me from an ordinary user to a super user, there's always a change request form, and that happens even in small organizations, perhaps even in the office of the Auditor General. So if those persons whose names were on that letter, they wanted them to have higher rights than what they already have, ideally there's supposed to be a change management procedure or a change request form. So I think on this matter, let's have a conversation to find out what the Treasury ought to do, the controls that need to be in the system, what the COB needs to do, and then we can have a holistic proposal, but it does not take away the fact that this 15 billion in terms of voided transactions is a smoking gun. And we might want to ask people with greater capacity to find out whether those voided transactions was meant to defeat the Office of the Control of Budget. But I think there's something the Treasury ought to do. There's something that needs to be put in the system, but there's also some duty of care on the part of the county.
Chair, point of information, if you will allow me, sir. And it will take me 2 seconds. Chair, I've done a lot of research on this matter, and the information I've been given is that voiding of transaction is deliberate. Normally you will find the original budget would have been tampered with, so that when the payments are going to be made, the reason why anybody would void that transaction is because they want somebody else to be paid instead of who had been given the code number to be paid.
Chair, can I make a request on behalf of the people of Nairobi? Because I can see time is moving, and that there are very critical items in this report that I had hoped at least to hear from the county government. I have pointed out some of them. I just request that you prioritize them in the interest of time, so that at least there can be a conversation around projects as well.
Okay, so then let's get out of this.
Yeah, but you've really awakened my mind when you mentioned the date and what it was close to. Possibly this was being voided to defeat me, in August 2022. If the allusion is towards the election time, August.
Are you saying you are supposed to be paid from that?
That money went to, yeah.
No. But I think the information you can get, Chair, because I understand the argument and I can see there's concurrence. Also, look at just the statements, the bank statements in that period about the amount of money paid out from the county. You can be able to get that. You can provide that. So CBK, and you'll see. One thing, for instance, Chair, that I'd like to just bring to your attention. Every year, on top of voiding this, there's supposed to be refreshing of IFMIS users. But all users on IFMIS are removed, and then new ones are assigned. I found 2,000 users on IFMIS. Chair, 2,000. 2,000 what? 2,400 IFMIS users. For Nairobi County.
Yes, even dead people.
Even dead people who've moved. And so I removed all of them just this last financial year, so that every sector can have the specific number required. with the different stages. But you can imagine 2,400 users. And that time, you remember, procurement was also manual. So procurement is manual. You have all these users hanging around in cyber saying, "Wacha nikufinyie, payment yako," you know. That is why I left this Senate to go to become governor of Nairobi, to sort out these things. Because that was the situation. You cannot have all those users. Somebody can create a procurement process from scratch. At River Road, get an LPO, you create even things that are not even on budget. Until the delivery note is done. Today, we're on e-procurement. Everything from the beginning to the end has to go through that process. And if there must be an exemption, in situations where you need to do it manually, it must be approved in cabinet.
Governor, let's leave it there. I think we've got a live matter that the EACC, and I think it's in court, must have been in Kilifi, where the persons with rights to the system created transactions and made payments in the middle of the night because of unfettered rights in the system. So there must be a conversation around that, using the Kilifi case as an example and the Nairobi case. So I think members will have to deliberate on this and maybe come up with some proactive recommendations. The next one is irregularities in procurement of transferred services.
Yes, so that is not close to new. On that one, there's a question that Treasury must answer. Because automatically they should remove these users. What was happening with Nairobi?
No, we come to that. We agree with you. And that's why I said there's something for AJAABU to do, something for Treasury to do, and something for the county to do. The next issue is irregularities in procurement of transferred services. And I think the key question the Auditor General is asking is that while health was transferred, the county still made an award for supply of drugs for 75 million to 2 companies, but the supporting documents have not been provided. Governor, your response on record does not answer the query by the Auditor General. You are saying it was a pending bill to KEMSA incurred by Nairobi City County. Give us the details of what was supplied. Give us the details of the invoices. Give us the details of the payment vouchers. Otherwise, we will say that this money of 75.9 million was stolen.
CFO?
Chairman, we tried sourcing for support documentation on the payments cited by the auditors, but we could not, these documentations were not availed to us, and therefore we will leave this matter to the committee for
9 million under the guise of medical supplies, and we shall be asking the EACC to be with us on this so that this money is recovered. Dr. Munywa?
Allow me to explain this. It is not upon the committee to declare a loss. Financial loss is supposed to be declared by the user department, the county government in this case, so that they are themselves who are supposed to initiate recovery of that money and declaration of loss, so that if they cannot be able to recover the cost entirely, PFM is very clear. They should look for the person who occasioned it through the security agencies.
I agree with you, Dr. We shall direct the county executive to take measures to recover the lost funds. I think that's how we should frame it. It is a county executive to take measures for recovery. The same way we said for the NHIF insurance payment. It is upon them to initiate. I think I don't want us to go into the next issue is misallocation of expenditure and reconciled bank balances, outstanding interest, account payables, deposits and retentions. May I ask, Governor, whether the signatory to these financial statements, Martha Wambugo, is still in the county executive?
Yes, yes, Chair.
Is Martha present?
No, not only is she still in the executive, she's right behind me.
Martha Wambugo, you are a member of ISPAC. Just give her the microphone.
Yes, Chair. I'm a member of ISPAC.
For how many years have your financial statements attracted an adverse opinion?
For the last, since the county government started.
Have you been signing the financial statements during that duration?
For a period of 2 years.
For the 3 years, what has been your score?
Adverse and disclaimer.
So would you sit proudly before the Senate with that kind of verdict?
No, Chairman, we are not proud of that, but we are working towards getting a favorable opinion from our auditors.
You have a professional responsibility.
Yes,
a professional responsibility that is personal. It is not about who was governor then. It is not about who was CC then. You, as a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants, member number 5435, you have signed financial statements for 3 consecutive financial years, which have either been disclaimed or been rendered to be adverse. Why do you think you should be trusted to manage public resources?
Thank you, Chair. As a member of the Institute and with my team members, we've been doing our best to provide financial statements as required. But given the circumstances, some of the issues have not been supported, so the auditors have come up with that opinion due to unsupported transactions. But in the preparation of the accounts, we have done our best.
When you sign off the financial statements and you have numbers in that financial statement, where do the numbers come from? Aren't they supposed to come from supporting schedules and payment details?
Thank you, Chair. They do. They come from IFMIS, they come from the sectors. But at the point the auditor comes to verify these things, some of these things are not provided by the sectors. That is the main problem.
So why would you report something that is not supported?
We report as per the transactions recorded in our books, in our IFMIS system. But the actual documentation, sometimes to support these transactions, is not availed to the auditors.
Whose responsibility is it to avail them?
It is the responsibility of Finance and County Treasury to avail them from the sectors. So the sector accountants and the chief officers of the sectors, we are tasked with compiling the reports. So we require the sectors to support us, to give us the documentation.
Why are you required to sign these financial statements?
Thank you, Chair. As a member of the Institute, as a qualified accountant, that is why I signed these financial statements, and also as a holder of that office.
What does your signature mean on these financial statements?
Yes, Chair.
So I want you to say it. What does your signature mean?
We take responsibility.
So you can't tell us about sector accountants. You can't tell us about other people. It is you as a professional who must take responsibility. And if you do not agree with the numbers they are giving you, you do not sign. Because as a professional, you cannot sign something that is not accurate. Why should we not refer you to the Institute for disciplinary action alongside the others who have gotten adverse opinions?
Thank you, Chair. As I said before, as a sector, as the finance sector and the county treasury, we compile the figures from sectors, from the state, from the IFMIS and our vote books. Then we demand the supporting schedules from the sectors. And the best we get is what we prepare for the auditors to look at.
You are accounting like IBC, where Chebukati signs things at Bomas, then he says go and blame the returning officer in the county. That's a sham we have seen in our elections. We cannot accept that from professionals.
Can I ask, Chair, you spoke of circumstances. Which years have you signed?
2021 and 2022.
What circumstances were prevailing at that time that would make you sign documents that would put you in problems with my chair?
When we prepare these financial statements, Chair, we prepare them with the best information we have received from sectors. As County Treasury, we compile the statements from all sectors.
So if every department brings you documents that you can clearly see forgeries, they don't make sense, what is your responsibility as a person who signs off on those accounts?
Thank you, Chair. Our responsibility is to confirm the information we get from sectors. And what we have confirmed is what we put on the financial statements.
So everything there you have confirmed?
From the sectors, yes.
It sounded like Chebukati.
Excuse me, Chair.
I can actually see his face, Chair.
Yeah, Chair, for me, this is what is wrong with our systems. This is wrong. This is the reason why devolution is dying. You ain't brave enough not to do your job. You ain't brave enough to stand up to the stealing that goes on. All right? The governor was not there. You guys were the custodians. Sasa umebeba mkia. That is where we are. And we are not going to fall back on these issues. Because you can't bring documents here which mean nothing to us. And then you assume all of us are dunderheads. We know nothing, we see nothing. Who are you protecting? This is where we are. We are really feeling frustrated. And yet you look like you know what you're doing. You sound like you're well schooled. Imagine, I just feel like you throw away the water with the baby.
Senator Cherarke.
Maybe Auditor General, you have finished 22-23. How does it look like? Through the chair? 22-23?
What was the opinion?
Chair, the opinion is adverse.
Again.
And again, it's the gracious lady who signed the financial statements?
No, Chair.
Who signed this time round? Governor, you may want to tell us who signed the financial statements for 22-23?
Joseph Gadiaka.
We are going to crack very hard on professionals who have the responsibility of doing the right thing. And they don't do the right thing and they assume it's business as usual. Yeah, you have seen what has happened in your county assembly, and we are seeing the same kind of situation in the county executive. And again, Governor, he does not have to take the Senate to talk to your staff. I mean, you should shield them by making sure that you take administrative action or training, so that when you come here, you are telling us, you know, we had some problems, but I've already asked the Treasury to train my people, and so there's going to be an improvement. But we are not going to allow them to hide behind the governors. If you've got a professional responsibility, accounting, HR, procurement, we shall come for you directly through your professional body.
Can I? Chair, I was not finished. Maybe before the governor speaks, Madam Mother Wambugu, you are aware if this was a private sector, this has to have formed the ground for your sacking or firing from the entity. Are you aware when you get adverse? I think it's only in public sector where you are rewarded. Are you aware of the implication of adverse opinion?
I am, Senator.
Yeah?
I am aware, Senator.
Okay.
Chair.
Governor, what are you doing, you know, internally? You've had disclaimers since the onset of devolution, and then it has gone to adverse opinions, and your first year in office, it's still an adverse opinion. What are you doing? What's the conversation on capacity?
Chair, thank you. Thank you. Chair, this is why I am the governor of Nairobi now. From 2013 to 2018, 13-14 financial year, 14-15, 15-16, 16-17, 17-18, and 18-19, Nairobi County got disclaimer, opinion. Yeah? But, you know, it was just terrible, completely. And you remember this is coming from the council, then the first county government. So 13-14 to 18-19 was disclaimer. From 1920 up until now, it has been adverse. The things were, and that is why we took the bull by the horns to go for this position, you know, to say, okay, look, what is the systemic problem? For you to have an adverse opinion, there are many things that are carried forward over the years. The story on pending bills will always be in every audit report. You know, there are things that are carried along that you need to find closure with the Office of the Auditor General for it to move. In fact, it is in this time that Nairobi has gotten its first ever qualified opinion on anything. That is the liquor, the alcoholic drinks, the liquor board. The report for 2023 is qualified. Chair, those are the improvements that we are making in the city. You can't imagine that would have come in after 6 years of disclaimer and then adverse, that I would just come and wave a magic wand and suddenly it becomes qualified. The improvements we're making, for instance, I've told you about the if misusers that we are having. I've told you about e-procurement. You know, the using the revenue reporting modules that are on IFMIS, modules that have never been used. If you have time, we can take you through exactly what we're doing to improve, to make sure now the next financial year becomes better. Of course, the first one, when you get in, you find it's the same people doing the same things, carrying on the same issues. Those changes are made as you progress. The chief officer, for instance, became chief officer in February of 2002-2003 financial year. You know, there was a chief officer before that. There was an entire structure before that. We've been doing trainings. We're talking to these professionals. We're paying for them the continuous professional development. So I think in a matter of time, you know, because it is one thing to really want it to change immediately, but the practicality of it, the magnitude of issues that we deal with in the county, you know, and I would even allow my chief officer to speak about some of the improvements we're making. It takes more than 19 months, Chair. And I'm sure even the next audit will start looking better. If we already moved qualified, by the time we're done, we will have an unqualified report, Chair, possibly even in the next 2 financial years. I'm the one who proposed, Chair, something that also the Auditor General took up, yeah, the reporting matrix on implementation of audit requirements. And they took it up and said, look, this is a template that they want to actually have counties developing. Because the reason for audit is to improve systems. The reason for audit is to see where there are loopholes that could be used by those with, you know, bad intentions, and how you close those audits, whether it's a system audit, the financial audit. And that is why I said that matrix for implementation of audit proposals needs to be filled in internally by ourselves. Before I came in, Chair, even the internal audit committee was not there. I was able to constitute it. I was able to resource the office of internal audit. They were not being listened to. In fact, many of them, when they came to my office, they said it is their first time to enter that office. These are people who've been there from the time they were mayors. They've been there. They've never seen the office of a mayor or a governor. But these people I'm working with every single day. So it's a process. I can see the progress. It might take a while to catch up in terms of the reporting, but the Office of the Auditor General can confirm to you that there are serious improvements in a lot of these issues. And maybe that's why many people in different quarters are not happy. When you remove all those users, when you remove the people of Hewa who are used to getting 150 million or some of these payments, we're saying are clearly unsupported to facilities we clearly don't know, they will not be happy with that, Chair. But we must do the right thing. And my team knows, and the professionals, yes, that I'm not carrying anyone's cross. Everyone will carry their own cross. Thank you. Your professional responsibility. Don't think that because the governor can explain his issues that you'll hide behind him. The other day I was, I think, at Osotsi's committee when we were looking at this report on alcoholic drinks licensing. And I said, look, even if it means calling whoever was there then, who was protecting someone at that time, they must answer to it. And I've told them you should never be told to do the wrong thing by anyone, even invoking the name of the governor. So that progress, you know, if we were to get a session to look at implementation of audit proposals, how do you close an issue? An issue is unresolved. You said yes, it's unresolved. I've agreed it's unresolved. How do we close that issue? How do we, you know, bring closure to it so that we improve that system? You know, that is what then
benefits. Let me stop you there,
and helps our account chair.
With this committee, we are naturally cynical because you have seen a lot of theft, and so sometimes, unless it is proven that it is not deliberate, we take a view that people are out to fleece the county governments, and professionals must take that responsibility. Now, I think looking at the time, we had said that issues to do with legal pending bills, issues to do with the 11 billion to NMS, we will have to call for a separate sitting. There could be a few issues here where we'll take the written responses, but there are some 2 projects here. I think let's go to the project on the project.
Excuse me, Chair.
12 points.
I believe under the standing orders we are past 5 o'clock.
The House rises at 6:30.
Okay.
So we are still within time.
Thank you.
So let's go to delay in installation and commissioning of machines. Vice Chair, let's look at these 2 projects, the printing press and the weights and measures equipment at Marikiti. Printing press, Auditor General, what was your observation? I think this needs to be read out. It is on page 20 of the audit report. I think that is under under lawfulness. Under the report on lawfulness.
Issue number 11. Delay in installation and commissioning of machines. Printing press. Review of records provided revealed that the county procured 4 state-of-the-art printing press machines at a cost of Kenya shillings 51,297,261 in the financial year 2016-2017. Fiscal verification carried out revealed that although the machines were delivered, 3 of the machines, Perfect Binder, Kenya shillings 10,025,743, Offset Printing Machine, Kenya shillings 14,410,000, and Galtine Machine, Kenya shillings 7,575,286, had not been installed. The 5 years after their procurements. Management's explanation was that the machine's height was more than the height of the ceiling of offices in Nairobi City Hall. And as a result, they could not fit, putting into question if feasibility study and user requisition and specification had been carried out before initiation of the purchase. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, may you read your response?
Chair, my response is as presented in the document.
Just read it, because the Auditor General also read it. Read their finding.
I'll ask the CC Finance to read that response and explain.
Space for installation of the 3 machines was identified at the basement of main City Hall. The 3 machines are, as had been pointed out, offset printing machine.
Your management response first.
The 3 machines are offset printing machine, guillotine cutting machine, and a perfect binding machine. The requisition was done and forwarded to the procurement for award. Advertisement for award was done on the 18th of March 2024, and no one met the requirements. Advertisement of the same was done on 8th April and closes on 14th April 2024.
What was the requisition that was done? What was it for?
Let me ask for assistance from the Director of Procurement so that we know what the procurement was.
What requisition are we talking about here? You bought materials in 2016, a printing press in 2016. It has not been implemented. There is no value for money. So I thought that's what you are going to be responding to.
Chair, the machines were bought, but the place where they were to be installed was not sufficient for the machines. So they were looking for a place where the installation could be done, which has not been done up to date.
What was the basement of Main City Hall supposed to do? What are you supposed to be doing at the basement?
For the basement, the machines could not fit at the basement.
At the basement?
Yes, Chair.
Now, a requisition was done and forwarded to the procurement for award. What requisition? For what? For award of what? What are you looking for? You are looking for another city hall, or what are you looking for?
No, I'm not privy to the requisition, Chair.
Governor, this is your management response that you have tabled. It is not making sense.
Let me help them. Let me help them. Chair, it is. First of all, I doubt the machines are still state of the art. You know, this is the problem I'm telling you we're dealing with. When you find something procured in 16, 17,
Governor,
and has not been used.
Governor,
I'm explaining
no,
what.
No, order, let me guide you. Because of time and because of the mood of the house, just tell us.
The procurement is for retrofitting part of the basement to be a printing room. Because the issue is the height. You'd have to demolish, almost break columns at the current printing room for these machines to fit. And so a section of the basement, because the height allows there, is now being, retrofitted to actually accommodate the machines and to have them used.
So that's a requisition you're talking about?
That is a requisition.
Because this does not tell the story.
Yeah,
you
should have given details.
What in your procurement plan, how much is that supposed to cost?
I don't have that information here with me, Chair, but we can check.
No, by the time you advertise the award, then it means there was a procurement plan.
Yes.
So what is the amount? What was the provision? Head of supply chain?
And Chair, this is a very recent matter. It was closed on the 14th of April, just 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Chair, the QS was to look for the funds and the drawings before installation. So
advertisement was done on 18th of March. Can you do advertisement before you have done without a procurement plan?
Actually, Chair, it is criminal to.
I'll confirm, Chair, because it was given, but I don't have the information.
Are you the head of supply chain?
I'm the head of supply chain.
Are you a member of the institute?
I'm a member of
supply chain management.
Yes, Chair.
So the same concern about professional responsibility that we put to the member of ISPAC applies to you. Are you aware of the management response that?
No, Chair.
Now, Governor, why did you call troops who don't even know which direction to shoot? End up shooting you in the back.
I think the last, is it the last line of the paragraph on the audit query is very clear, because the question is feasibility study and user requisition, and specification was not carried out before initiation of the purchase. What they should have done is to provide that information, according to me. I don't know. Yeah? And again, just to give us what has been bought, so that we are sure those things were bought. We don't even know whether those things are bought or not, or rather delivered.
We are dealing with 51 million Kenya shillings, so it's not pocket change.
I think this for me should be one of the most embarrassing things I've ever had. You live in a bed sitter and you go and buy a 6x6 bed. Then when you get to the door, the bed cannot fit. Then you advertise a tender to demolish one of the walls so that the bed can fit. I think it is very embarrassing.
It's terrible.
And Governor,
that is why I invite to be governor, to sort out such things.
Yes, but it's still a problem.
Chair, if you allow me to complete. Your officer back there, Governor, is actually adding insult to injury. That you can get into advertisement of a tender before you have a budget and you know how much money it is. No. He cannot be in charge of supply chain management, and he doesn't know this is something that has closed on 14th of April is when?
Possibly you need to look at the specific procurement.
Yes, and there's a reason why we're asking that.
Order, Governor. Allow the Senator to...
There's a reason why we're asking that. You will find even more absurdity when you realize the project, the cost of demolishing City Hall to fit these machines is twice the amount of the machines, the value of the machines. That's why we ask these questions.
It might even bring City Hall down.
Is that a statement of fact?
I said you might find. In the absence of that document from your director there, we don't know how much money it is.
It's if you give him time, he can actually just get it from the procurement officer in that sector. procurement is decentralized to the sectors. What I know is that it's around 2.5 million shillings that we're talking about.
Who signed this management response, Governor? I can see the signature of AJAABU.
Yes.
Is AJAABU in the room?
Yes, Chair. Present.
So, AJAABU, are you the one? Are you responsible for this management response?
Yes, I have submitted.
Of course, it is a governor's response, but you're the one who put it together.
Yes.
What are you telling us here?
Chair, maybe I can just shed light on this. Procurement is currently decentralized at the county. Requisitions are done by the sectors. We have fully implemented e-procurement end-to-end, and therefore the user department actually carries that function from the point of requisition to contract management. So could be that's why the director.
Yes, there is decentralization, but
yes.
what's the point of convergence as far as the PFM is concerned?
The director supply chain management.
Yes, so you cannot run away from that responsibility. Where you delegate duties, responsibility still remains. Accountability, and is it accountability or responsibility? Remains at the center. So tell us, you have spent 51 million to buy a printing press in 2016-2017. Perhaps some of you are not in the county government. What are you doing to make this thing work?
So if I can answer the question, one, we do not do any advertisement unless there's a budget provision for it, simply because if you're doing e-procurement, then there's no way you can advertise for a project without a budget. So the budget for this project is actually 2.5 million. It is at initial stages of procurement. Advertisement was actually done on 8th of April and closed on 14th April. It is we are yet to close on this tender, but at least the procurement process has started to ensure that these machines are actually put to use because the services are required by the county.
What was the intended objective of this? Of this machine?
The printing machines?
Yes.
Printing.
So, Chair, if I can...
Sorry, yeah, just explain. The amount of money spent.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's a value for money question.
Actually, it's a value for money question. And I believe the thought behind this was to ensure that the county minimizes its recurrent expenditure on printing. From experience, every sector was actually outsourcing for printing services and spending quite colossal amounts of money to suppliers, while these services could easily have been provided in-house. So that is the reason behind...
Have an indication of how much we spend every year on printing services?
I don't have that information at the moment, but we can have it availed, Senator Singh.
Why must it be only at the basement and not in any of your other county government facilities?
Currently, there is availability of space at the City Hall basement.
Chair, the governor
but you have to spend millions to make it ready.
The governor has hosted us in some of the rooms at City Hall. They have very high ceilings. I don't know why we need to demolish basements.
There's nothing being demolished. The 2.5 million is to create, to create space for it, at the basement. A lot of the printing requests, the printing needs
those printing
I think I want us to, Governor, please crack the whip on your team. This thing, you have inherited a skunk, but you are still carrying it around. You need to get rid of it because 51 million in 2016, obsolescence, whatever, if it's technology, if it had movable parts, if there's been no service, if it's not been used for that duration, you will go and repurpose your bed sitter, then you find that the thing is not working.
Yes, Chair, you can imagine an entire term of office of somebody and the NMS and everything in between didn't even use these machines. This is from 16, 17. So 17, 18, 18, 19, these are 51 million of Kenyans money, yet people are still printing things. In fact, you must check if there are printers who are connected to people who get that contract to keep printing and make the machine deliberately not work. So what we're coming to do is to say, okay, look, we have these machines, can we make them work? Chair, when I got in our data center, for instance, had not been utilized. It was not being utilized. World Bank spent so much money in making us have a proper data center. Now that we've activated it and put all whatever we need to use it for, is only realizing these machines brought to us during Kidero's time are now getting obsolete. They have been quiet. In fact, my discussion with the World Bank is like, look, you put money in this project for us to use technology. For the last 5 years, it has not been activated. Kindly extend to me fresh machines. There's a Nairobi addressing system, physical planning, the addressing and street naming system. For 5 years, it had been so in a room that was locked. And then we went and opened up that room. We are the second city in Africa to have a physical addressing system. But for 5 years, in fact, the guys who did it here, we were the first, because it was not being implemented. They went to implement it in Kigali, in Rwanda. So, Chair, these are things I have found, and I am, we can say what I inherited. I will not call it a skunk. But there was a problem from leadership to inspiration, because the same people have been able to improve on many things. Chair, in the first financial year we got into office, of course, the election was in August, September, whatnot. I was able, with the same people, to raise the highest revenue in 5 years. With the same people. This financial year, which is the second one, as of today, I've already surpassed that record. And
okay, let's not go there. We have said revenue will have a separate conversation. Let's go to Ukulima Market. Is that Marikiti? Weights and measures equipment at Ukulima Market. Auditor General, what's the issue here?
Chair, the entire.
Yeah.
Yes. So during the year under review, management paid an amount of Kenya shillings 17,206,000 in respect to supply, installation and commissioning of weights and measures equipment at the Ukulima Market. The installation works commenced on 31st May 2019 for a period of 3 months. The scope of works included foundation civil works, costing, weight office building works, supply of weighbridge deck and sensors, CCTV system, setup costing, equipment installation and calibration, 4 dormant platforms and 10 electronic counter scales. Physical inspection of the market carried out in the month of November 2022 revealed that machines with a cost of Kenya shilling 7,696,000 comprising of equipment installation and calibration, 4 dormant platforms and 10 electronic counter scales had not been installed. Further, it was observed that the partial machines which have been installed did not have enough space for vehicle to negotiate corners, since the entry point to the market was occupied by a private developer. Further, the market has never been put into use, and this exposed the already completed works to vandalism and deterioration. In addition, whereas the works had been supervised by Nairobi Metropolitan Services, the payment for the works was made by the Nairobi City County Executive. No evidence was provided to confirm that NMS had authorized the county to pay. In the circumstance, it was not possible to confirm value for money of expenditure totaling to Kenya shillings 17,206,000. Thank you, Chair.
What's the county's response?
CFO.
Thank you, Chair. Contract for supply, delivery, installation and commissioning of weights and measures equipment was awarded to Gokan Technical Services Limited in the month of October 2016 with a price schedule. The installation works commenced on 31st May 2019 for a period of 3 months, and the scope included foundation civil works, way office building works, supply of way bridge decks and sensors, CCTV system setup and equipment installation and calibration. These works were indeed supervised by engineers from the then NMS, as evidenced by Annex 1 attached on appointment of resident engineer by the Director Public Works and Transport, supply of 4 dormant platforms and 10 electronic counter skills were done through the delivery note by the contractor to the county general stores on the 27th July 2018, Annex 2 attached. A recent visit to the general stores confirmed the existence of the said equipment at the stores. The dormant platforms and electronic counter skills were to be utilized at Kangundo Road Wholesale Market, which was later converted into a retail market. Upon completion of the works, the Director Public Works and Transport informed the CCO Trade to appoint an inspection and acceptance team, which was then constituted and issued a certificate as documented in Annex 3. The contractor had no mandate to get rid of the developer blocking access to the weighbridge, the only access being one way to and from the platform.
Would you just expound on your last sentence?
Chair, the last sentence, the last paragraph, sorry, basically just highlights appointment of an inspection and acceptance team to ensure that those supplies were actually delivered at the
last
stores.
sentence.
The last sentence is on the contractor blocking the road.
Blocking?
Blocking the entrance.
Well, yeah, just explain that. I'm trying to make sense of it. And Governor knows who taught me English. Must have been the same person who taught him English. CFO, what's that? What's that statement about?
Maybe I can try and assist Chairman. This equipment, although we're talking about Wakulima market,
I hope you're restricting yourself. I hope you're restricting yourself to the last sentence.
Yes.
Okay.
So this dormant platform, a decision had been made to move it to the Kangundo Road Wholesale Market. That's the new market in Kangundo Road. But the way the market was designed, there was where the market was built, and then there was an area outside that was supposed to provide access. But there was a building there that I think there had been negotiations about how it could be gotten rid of. Not a county building, but a building that was owned by a private person. So this last sentence is the fact that because that building was standing, there was no access to take that equipment into that Kangundo Road market. And Chair, as of today, that building has since been demolished.
Whose building was that? Is that our land or private land?
It was county land, but over the years somebody had built private.
Honorable Governor, when you say the contractor did not have the mandate to get rid of a developer, that mandate is with somebody in this room to reclaim public land.
Yeah, so you know Kangundo Road Market. In the middle there was a building, what we used to call Mama Uru building. And there was, back and forth in terms of her compensation. She made it political with the former president, etc. But we finally brought down the building. Before you do a demolition, sometimes you have to get concurrence from the regional police and whatnot, the administration. And so you'd find one side pulling back. But we made a firm decision. We've since demolished that building because she had been compensated a different site. The market is very vibrant now, but it needs this, weighing machines because there's a component of wholesale that we're doing on that side. So that has been done, and so this installation should be going on for the weighbridge because that is why we demolished the building.
Vice Chair, you.
Governor, so the question was, I think it was under public participation, that this one was supposed to be Wakulima market. So what happens to your people who wanted to have this service within Wakulima market? Since what you had procured on behalf of Wakulima market, you are taking it into Kangundo. Number two, who incurred this private developer? Was she or he? You said he for she or she for he. Was he or she compensated, or you just demolished and that was it, and now you have access to this Kangundo market? And finally, my final question is, so on these aspects, are there that you are able to put in Ukulima market? Like there were so many, like CCTV system, equipment installation and calibration, 10 electronic counter scales. Are you taking all of it to Kangundo, or some were put in Ukulima market to ensure the service of your people are then gotten within the Ukulima? Because I would have expected that by the time it was being procured, although you are here with us, then by the time it was being procured, there was a need assessment for that Ukulima market. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Matthew?
Maybe a quick one. I don't see in the response of the county executive where the answer to this question that has been raised by the Auditor General, and the works had been supervised by the NMS, but payment was done by the Nairobi City County Executive, and no evidence was provided to confirm that NMS had authorized the county to pay.
Okay. Governor, very brief responses. I'd committed to the members that would be done by 5:30. We might just extend that by 5 minutes max. Proceed, Governor.
Yeah, Chair, you know, administrative decisions can be made on where you want to use this equipment and on how a market is going to be activated. The thinking in the county has been that to even reduce a lot of the congestion in the CBD, to have these wholesale markets, more of them out in the outskirts. And that is why Kangundo Road Market is also going to be wholesale, hence the installation of that weighbridge. We also have Mutwini Market, which is currently ongoing at 244 million shillings in Dagoretti South. It is strategically located on the bypass. We have Majimazuri coming up. And the number we promised to do 20, and we are on course. Chair, on the issue of then what happens to Wakulima market is actually being relocated in its entirety. It's being pushed further down because of the railway city plan. The railway city that is coming right away of the railway station, and Wakulima is close by there, has taken that land, but the financing agreement from the British government has provided resources to build a new Wakulima market. And so the new one will come with all of these specifications, way bridges, cameras, etc. So what we have, it is prudent for us now to move to Kangundo Road Market so that it is used better. These decisions have to be made. You know, when you come in and find these things are in stores, what is the best use of it? And if you find, Chair, just as a segue, the kind of things we found in stores even helped me put up the first ICU. The machines had always been there, but no one had been able to bring A and B and C together and create a solution for Nairobians. Chair, on the question of NMS payment, that the works was supervised by NMS but payment done by the city county executive, I'll ask because I've not seen that response, I'll ask the chief officer finance or the CC to just respond on that. Though I know there are a number of issues that you'll find. You see, for instance, this one, if it started in 2019, you know that it started before NMS, and it's an ongoing contract that has been contracted by NCCG. Some of these contracts were not novated. There was no deed of novation to move them to NMS. So the engineers at NMS, many of whom are still county engineers, would supervise work that is still being done by the county, but the payments would be done by the county, by NCCG, not by NMS. You have a number of contracts like those that just started right before the NMS period, Chair.
I think that should suffice. There was one final matter that the Senator for Nairobi has brought to my attention: contract for an existent road. Contract for an existent road. What we want to confirm, Governor, is whether the contract that has been cited there, if it was awarded and if payments were made. Auditor General, and a contract for an existent road, can you confirm whether payments were made against the contract? You have cited contract for an existent road.
Chair, there is no indication that payments were made, but contracts were entered into and signed.
So contracts were executed without mentioning the specific roads to be done.
Exactly.
It was an open check. Governor, can you confirm whether payments were made on this contract?
I'll ask the Chief Officer Works. This actually is finance because it's all development. Engineer Stone. I'll ask the director of World Development Program to come. These are, if you look at the reference and the contract number, that's a World Development Program contract in Mlango Kubwa.
Just confirm whether payments were made for these non-existent roads.
That's what I've asked for. The director.
Is the gentleman joining us now?
Just sit in now.
Thank you, Chair. The payment from Lango Kubwa was not done.
And there's evidence of termination of contract?
Yeah.
So shouldn't that then, shouldn't that have been provided to the Auditor General so that it stops being alarming? That's what you should have done. A letter terminating the contract.
Chair, what I'm interested in more is if the need for roads in Mlango Kubwa went away. Because if it didn't, then we should be seeing fresh procurement, because the response from the governor there is that the contractor failed to commence works, and perhaps that would be the basis for termination of contract. But I'm sure the roads are still needed. So what has been done since then?
There's still WDP projects in Mlango Kubwa. There are quite a number. I think the engineer Kimathi, in fact, I was supposed to open one this week. That's completed. But engineer Kimathi can give us a list of the ongoing and completed projects. 2019-20 is a while back. I know the current MCA and the ward committees there have, certain projects that we are undertaking, including roads.
Yeah, we have loans that we've completed in Mlango Kubwa thereafter, but even in 2022-2023, we've completed roads in Mlango Kubwa, and we are starting new projects in the same ward. So the issue of the need for the road is still there, and we are continuing with that, the program, the One Development Program.
Honorable members, Nairobi is a complex organization, and review of the Auditor General's report will never be as swift as it is for the other counties, because Nairobi has a bigger budget. During this period, there was a complication of NMS. Nairobi has got a huge on-source revenue stream, and that is why at the beginning we agreed that we must, to provide closure to the 2 financial years, we must still have a conversation on revenue to look at the 8.9 billion that Nairobi received, and we must also have another conversation with NMS to account for the 11 billion that was transferred to the NMS. I want to propose that the issues that we have not interrogated orally, we will look at the written responses for both financial years. Where the Auditor General feels that there is a very material matter that needs further clarification, we will put those issues together so that when we come back for the interrogation of the revenue statement, or when we come back for the interrogation of the 11 billion NMS transfer, then we can deal with the remnants that require further clarification by the county government. If there's an issue which the Auditor General feels has been resolved, we shall mark it as such. If there's an issue which the Auditor General strongly feels is still outstanding, and the records before us cannot change that position, then we shall make a declaration as such. If that is agreeable, I would just want to point out one other thing, Governor. Your contingent liabilities are not properly stated. It's 21 billion, but you have excluded litigation in progress. Your county attorney is present.
No. The county solicitor is here.
How many matters are active and live in court for and against the county government of Nairobi? Because as I asked that, because this would be important for our next session, I want you, Governor, to, if you're looking at the financial statements,
yes,
to look at the note on contingent liabilities, and that should be, I think,